welcome to Downtown Rotary. We're going to start just a bit early to give Brett a little bit of extra time and you all a little bit of extra time for questions. I'm Mark DeGraff and I'm your president. Let's start with one verse of America. Hurst. Thank you, Hurst. You may be seated. Lee Morris is going to do our Rotary Minute and guest introductions. And while he's making his way up, this month's featured charity for Cup Money is a joint effort for Rotary clubs all across our city. It's an anti-human trafficking project that Patty Ballard is organizing. We are working together on a district grant to purchase items and put together fresh start kits for victims of human trafficking. Also partnering with STARS, which is Stop Trafficking and Reject Slavery, a program of the Topeka Center for Peace and Justice, and joining the campaign to demand an end to trafficking, exploitation, and abuse by becoming a Peace Builder Club this year. Lee?
We'll start with guest introductions today. We'll ask the guests to rise when I call your name, and we'll then welcome everyone at the end of this. Our first guest is Amanda Neiman. Amanda is with the Cyrus Hotel Catering and Sales Manager. She's a guest of Stephanie Gasson. Hi, Amanda. Second is Clara Brewer. And Clara, of course, is a guest of David Beck. She's a student and one of our foreign exchange folks. Hi. We have Paul Hofer, who is a guest. I'm not sure if anyone specifically at this point, I don't have a name anyway. We're glad to have him here today. And finally, we have Yvonne Case, who is with Maximus in their Human Services Department. She is from visiting Rotarian as well from District 6110 down in the corner of Missouri, Kansas, and Arkansas, I believe it is, and from Alta Vista, Arkansas. She's new to our community and looking for a Rotary home as well. So, hi, Amanda. You found it. Let's get all alive. And in our Rotary moment, I wanted to share some thoughts with you for just a moment here. This is partly around an article that came out in the May Rotarian magazine, written by Paul Netzel, the Foundation Trustee Chair. He notes to start with, though you couldn't tell from looking around this room, that about 50% of the world's population is under the age of 30. It makes it important for us to ask the question, and in this and every generation, of how are we going to best serve our youth and help our youth best serve our communities with us? Raised for us, and for me particularly, I think the question of, what is it we're going to do? What are we going to continue doing? What are we going to try to build into and expand? And what I'm specifically focused on, and part of what has become a very important part of being a Rotarian for me, is helping set up our mentoring program with the Highland Park High School. We, of course, we have Interact with Highland Park. We're going to have a new program this year with Topeka High as well. Those of you, how many of you helped last year with our mentoring program? I think we had about 30 or 40 Rotarians involved last year. Well, we're going to expand and move forward, get more specific this year. You'll be getting some information within the next week, I hope. If I got the information to Linda, so she'll be getting it out. Where we I need your commitments as to whether you're willing to be a part of our ongoing Rotary program. We're going to move into more of a one-to-one assigned style of mentoring starting this year. We're also going to have some group endeavors where we have a chance again to get to know the young people. They get to know us, takes some of the anxiety away from everybody at that point. But it's something that I think will make a big difference as we look ahead to what our world can do for youth and how we can involve them in our service above self. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lee. We have a few announcements. We do have a Rotary Flag Toast, the club from Springdale, Arkansas. They claim to be the poultry capital of the world. They are in District 6110 and they're chartered 1925, 188 members. and that is with President Sam Hollis. So if you would, raise your glasses with me, and let's give Sam and our fellow Rotarians a big Rotary toast. Yeah. We have a returning new member, Sam Nasser, who joined in 2015. He's a business owner and real estate developer. He owns Global Auto, and he's sponsored by Rehan Reza, so he's newly back. September 6th is National Read a Book Day. Why did the Romanian stop reading for the night? He wanted to give his book a rest. Okay, this one you'll like better. A guy walks into a library. The guy says, "Can I have a burger and some fries?" The librarian says, "Sir, this is a library." The guy says, "Right, sorry. Can I have a burger and some fries?" There are many handouts on your tables. Be sure to enjoy those. If you have questions about the new types of membership, ask Linda. And we also have handouts back on the badge table. The Scots Movement Interact Club and Jeremy Snowden are very active again. Angel Zimmerman is working very hard with that group as well, and they're in a school supply and garage sale drive and activity. So if you have questions about plugging in and getting involved with that, please see them. RLI, the Rotary Leadership Institute, used to be 3 days. They've condensed that into 2. It is September 15th and 16th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. If you're interested in learning more about Rotary, the origins of Rotary in our district, and learning a little more about leadership as well, that's a great opportunity for you. I would highly recommend it for especially new Rotarians. There are 3 scholarships that we have available, so at no cost to you, you could attend, and it's limited to 12 to 18 participants. Stan and I did it last spring, and it was in Manhattan, and we just had a great time, and it was really fun networking with some Rotarians from a lot of the other clubs in our district as well. It's if you don't get in for one of those first 3 scholarships, it's only $55 if you register on your own, and you can do that through our own website, topekarotary.org. The Water Festival is September 20th from 9 a.m. to 1:30. That's going to be a busy day. Some of us are in Kansas City for the Kansas Leadership Center's last day of leadership training. That also is a Thursday, so that will be a Rotary lunch day for us typically. And so please, if you have the flexibility to help out with that at all, sign up and go help out. If you haven't done that before, I encourage you to go check it out. It's a lot of fun. William Batetic can tell all of you all about everything he learned from his kids when they first went through it. I've done it, and it was a good time, and it's also a makeup for a lunch that you're going to miss. And with that, it's my pleasure to welcome Ray Gerstikorn to the platform to introduce our speaker today.
It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker. Brett Ballard was named Washburn Big Bod men's head basketball coach on April 6, 2017. This was after spending the 2014-15 and 2016-17 seasons as an assistant coach with Wake Forest basketball program under head coach Danny Manning. Brett also was an assistant coach under Danny Manning for 2 seasons prior to that at the University of Tulsa. I haven't personally met Brett until today, but it's a pleasure because as a season ticket holder at Washburn, I've watched him coach many games, and to watch him through his first successful year, it's a pleasure to personally get to sit down with him today. Some of the highlights of the first season at Washburn, the 2017-18 season, included 22 MIA conference wins with a 3rd place finish. Washburn finished 2nd in the MIA conference tournament, and they had an appearance in the NCAA Division II postseason regional tournament, which was Washburn's first appearance since 2012. Washburn did end up losing to Northern State, but Northern State was a very outstanding team that eventually went on to finish 2nd in the national championship game. Prior to taking over the head coaching position at Baker was where Brett had previously been, and I think I skipped a little bit of this. I'll mention about Baker. In 2 seasons, he went 33 and 30 overall, including a 21-12 mark in his final season at the helm, and that was in 2011-12. The Wildcats, the Baker Wildcats, advanced to the school's first Heart of America Athletic Conference championship game in 15 years, and capped with that with an NAIA national tournament berth, the program's first since '96. So another successful head coaching stint in his impressive resume. Brett had spent 7 years on Bill's self-staff at Kansas University, which was his alma mater. He was the director of basketball operations in his final 2 seasons on staff, and prior to that, he served as administrative assistant and video coordinator for 4 years and volunteer student assistant for 1 year. Brett played 2 years for the Jayhawks under head coach Roy Williams, 2000 to 2002. That after transferring from Hutchinson JUCO College, which is his hometown of Hutchinson, Kansas. As a guard, he played at KU in 56 career games. Brett earned his bachelor's degree in secondary education from Kansas in 2003. He was named academic all Big 12 selection as a senior. Very impressive. Let's see. Brett and his wife Kelly have 3 children, sons Caden and Brooks, and a daughter Bregan. One final comment, which is not in any of the resume that I put on the table. Coach did participate in the 2008 Topeka Rodeo Celebrity Pony Hop event. And it's my understanding, Brett, that you took first place. Is that correct?
Back-to-back years.
And I was going to ask you, back-to-back years while riding an air-inflated pony to victory. Please join me in welcoming Coach Brett Ballard.
Thanks, Ray. They called me last year about doing this rodeo, and I got fired up because I'm from Hutch and kind of a farm town, and so I'm like, man, they want me to do something with the rodeo. I was excited. And so I listened to the voicemail a little bit deeper and said, we want you to be involved with the Celebrity Pony Hop. And I didn't really know what a Celebrity Pony Hop was. So, I do what you do. I get on Google and Google Celebrity Pony Hop. And sure enough, it's people jumping on inflatable ponies. So my ego got kind of deflated. I said, well, heck, I'll try it out. And I was fortunate enough to win last year. So going into this year's competition, which was a couple weeks ago, the sheriff has been on me. Sheriff Jones, anybody knows Sheriff Jones? He's awesome. He's been great, and he was talking a lot of trash. And so my only goal this year was to beat him. And I told him that. I said, I don't care if I win, but I'm gonna beat you. And so, but I got lucky and won it again this year. One of the greatest athletic accomplishments of my life. So, I have a trophy. It's a traveling trophy. It's actually a pretty cool trophy. It's in my office. If any of you guys want to come by and see it, I'll give you a tour. Ray, you mentioned my family. We've adjusted well to Topeka. It's cool for me now. I've had an opportunity to go around and speak a little bit, and now just being here for a little over a year, it's great to see a lot of familiar faces. And that's one of the things we love about Topeka is it's a big city, but the more you're here, the smaller it gets. And so it's been great for us just to get acclimated. My kids have had a great adjustment. My wife's had a great adjustment to the schools. Got great teachers right at Jay Scheidler. This is the only year we have I have a 6th grader, I have a 3rd grader, those are my boys, and my daughter's a kindergartner, so we got one school, one drop off, one pickup. My wife loves it, so we're in a good situation. That's the only time that's going to happen. But school's out to a great start, and we've met a lot of great people in Topeka. I think as a coach, last year was my first year, obviously, and if you don't have success, then a lot of times as a coach, what we say is, well, that was kind of year 0, right? And as a new coach, you never know exactly what you're getting into. I knew a lot about Washburn. I knew about the tradition. I knew Coach Shipman had done a great job with the program. But as far as the guys I was going to be coaching and the environment I was going to be in, you really don't know. And that's with any job. So, I took the job feeling like it was a good situation, took the job feeling like I was going to be around good people, and a year later, I can tell you I've been blown away. And a big part of that for me was I inherited a great group of guys, and I'll be the first to tell anybody I was really, really fortunate. I inherited a really, really good team. Coach Shipman and those guys that were here before me did a great job in recruiting, and so I inherited a group of guys that good people on and off the court, talented basketball players, which allowed us to have success. And initially, early on last year, we took a couple lumps. Ray mentioned our very first game was against Northern State. So we played Northern State, the team that ended up finishing second in the country in the national championship. That was our very first game. That was scheduled before I got here. So I don't know Northern State from Joe. I don't know anything about them. So we start kind of scouting them, and I'm like, ooh, this team looks pretty good on paper. They got 6'10" big, 6'9" big. I'm watching them on film. I'm like, good gosh, this is what we got to play against every night. So we go. I'm feeling good though. New coach. We're going to be fired up. I'm going to have the guys ready. So we go to Missouri Western to play Northern State, and we got pummeled. And so I got humbled pretty quickly, and I can remember thinking after the game, like, seriously, and I knew Division II was good, and I knew this was a good conference. It wasn't that I was overestimating anything, but I was like, man, that team was really good. Like, I don't know how we're going to win a game. And I was telling my wife, I was like, you might not want to get too comfortable because I'm not too sure how this is going to go. And, we struggled a little bit, and then we got better. And it's funny reflecting now because that ended up being, they went like 34-3. Northern State was really, really good. So it just happened to be, and my assistant coach actually scheduled them, so I gave him a hard time about this. Like, man, you're setting me up. You're trying to get my job. It just happened to be that we played, one of the best teams in the country. But that was good for us. We went through some stuff last year, which I thought was good for us. We struggled a little bit early, which was good for us. We all want things to be rosy, and we all want to win every game, and that wasn't the case. We lost. We played at Rockhurst, we're up 18, and we didn't play very well second half and lost that game. And all of a sudden, then we played Northwestern in a non-conference game, and we're sitting there, we're 2-3. And it was really a gut check for all of us. It was a time for reflection for me on how I can be a better coach, but it also forced our team to come together. And probably one of the proudest things I am of those guys, because when you have a new coach and everything is new, it's easy just to revert back to what you did in the past, especially because they had some success. But they continue to buy in, they continue to work, and we went 2 calendar months without losing a game, and then did well in conference. We played Northwest Missouri State here on senior night. We were both tied for first in the conference, and we didn't get that game done. It was a lot of pressure, and I didn't handle that as well as I should have as far as getting my team prepared for that game. But didn't get that done, but we bounced back. We ended up getting the championship game in the MIAA tournament, like Ray mentioned, and then we were fortunate enough to make the NCAA tournament. So I felt good about it. Did I feel great about it in reflecting on our season? Not necessarily, because we didn't accomplish all the goals that we wanted to accomplish, but I felt pretty good in a lot of ways. Probably the thing that I was most proud of was, I think we established a mindset of how hard you have to play and how hard you got to compete. And I know that's kind of coach speak, and sometimes you get tired of hearing that from coaches, but the reality of it is, if you can get your guys to compete at a very high level, night in and night out, and play for each other, then you're going to have a chance to be successful. And there was a couple instances during our season, games that stuck out to me. We beat Central Oklahoma. It was a barn burner, and the Nets were on fire. We beat them 49-47 at home. And that's not very many points in case you guys, football team score more than that. And it was an ugly game for a fan, I'm sure. It was an ugly game. But as a coach, I couldn't have been prouder because we struggled offensively, but we just out-toughed them and would not let them score. And to win a game when you only score 49 points, to me as a coach, was impressive. Another game that really stuck out late in the year for me is we were down 22 points with 11 minutes to go at Southwest Baptist. I called my last time out. I may or may not have broken the clipboard. And for those of you, if you ever get a chance in life, I suggest if you ever get a chance to break a clipboard, there's a feeling, I don't do it that often, and I'm not a that guy, but as a coach, there's a kind of a good feeling you get when you break that clipboard in half, like you're really tough and a man, even though they're just little plastic things. But I broke the clipboard. We had used our last timeout. We were out of timeouts. I was desperate, and it wasn't necessarily anything to do with me, but our guys rallied, and we came back from 22 down on the road and won that game in overtime. And those are two examples of, I think, the team buying into our mindset of just being tough and competitive and competing for each other. We lost, we had 5 seniors, and 4 of them started at one point or another during the season. 3 of them started pretty much the whole season, and one of the other guys started off and on. And so we lost some really good seniors going into this year. We lost Brady Skeens, who many of you guys, if you've seen Washburn basketball, he was a big part of this program the last 4 years. Brady's the all-time leader in blocks. He'll be the all-time leader in field goal percentage, top 5 in rebounding, and so he was an All-American big that graduated for us last year. So we lost some really good players off of last year's team. So that means we've got to rebuild for this year. And I'll talk a little bit about our team here in a minute. Beyond the basketball part of it, for me, I understand as a coach, we get evaluated on wins and losses. At the end of the day, that's what fans are going to evaluate me on. If I'm a good coach, they're going to evaluate, for the most part, if I'm a good coach, on how many wins we have in that column at the end of the year. But I'm also proud of some of the things that we've established outside of basketball that translate to the court. And we talk all the time to our guys about our standards. We have standards with our program that are non-negotiable. And those standards are everybody's required to meet, and everybody's upheld to those standards. And I think what that does is, if we can hold them to those standards away from the basketball court, there's no question that carries over to the court. But for me as a coach, and I had an example of this summer. I went to a funeral of a guy who I worked for in high school, and he was a coach. And I went to his funeral this summer. It was an unfortunate deal. And not one time at the funeral did they talk about how many wins and losses he had. They didn't talk about it one time. What they did talk about, though, was his character, how he treated his players, and how he prepared his players for life. And the more I'm in this and the more I do this, that becomes more and more important to me, that we're preparing these guys. None of my guys are going to play. Maybe 1 or 2 of these guys will play professionally, but very few of these guys are going to play professional basketball. And even if they do, if they play until they're 30, that's lucky. 35 is maybe the longest. And so what are they going to do with the rest of their life? So a big part of our program and what we try to do is help prepare them for life after basketball. And a lot of it is based off the standards we set. And it's not rocket science. It's being on time. It's being a good teammate. It's one of the biggest things for us is being proactive and have a proactive mindset. Young people want to make excuses. They want to make excuses about why they didn't get this done, or why they didn't get that done, or why they didn't have success. And so we constantly talk to them about how they can have a proactive mindset. And at the bottom of every one of my practice plans, I have no excuses. And we talk to our guys all the time about stop making excuses and figure out a way to be successful in life. Because the bottom line is you're not going to have somebody babysitting you the rest of your life. You've got to find a way to go have success. And it was great for me to see that mindset. And this doesn't mean that wasn't preached before I got here, but it was great for me to see our guys embrace that. And now what's happened in year 2 is I don't have to be the guy preaching this all the time. The players have taken over that responsibility. We had a team meeting a couple weeks ago to start the year. 2 of our new guys who weren't here last year come into the team meeting like 30 seconds early. Like if the meeting was starting at noon, they came in like at 11:59. And before I even said anything, 2 of our seniors said, "Hey, you better get here early. You cannot be late to meetings. You have to get here early." And I didn't say anything. And so what's great now is these guys have taken ownership of our standards, and now they're starting to carry the torch. And that allows me now to focus still on those things, but more on the X's and O's of basketball, execution of basketball, and other things that we don't have to constantly harp on because I know those guys are taking care of it behind the scenes. This year, newcomers. I know you guys want to know about our newcomers. So we lost 5 seniors, and we had one player that's not returning. So we brought in, we've got 4 incoming freshmen. I'm really, really, really excited about our freshman class. Those guys so far look really good. That's early, and everybody's excited about their team right now. But we have 4 incoming freshmen. We have 2 young men from Kansas City. One's a guard, Jalen Lewis from Liberty, Missouri, right north of Kansas City, and one is a power forward, Savon Witt. Savon's about 6'7", he's 240 pounds, he's a big, strong kid, and so both of those guys are coming in from Kansas City. We have a big kid coming from Wichita, or Augusta, right outside of Wichita, His name is Johnny Klossing. Johnny's 6'9" and country strong. Johnny is interesting. I think Johnny's going to be really, really good. I think Johnny's going to be really, really good. Big guys are hard to find, as anybody in sports knows, especially at the Division II level, because if you can walk and chew gum and you're 6'8" and above, you're getting a Division I scholarship. And so we struggle to find impact bigs at the Division II level. So Johnny was interesting. He played football, he played basketball, he played baseball in high school, which not many kids do. I love it. And so Johnny wasn't year-round basketball like some of these guys are. So, when you saw him, he was good, but he may not pop off the sheet to you or pop off the film to you. But Johnny's been really good. He's got great hands, strong, great kid, tough kid. And I think in time, he's a freshman, but in time he's going to be really good for us. We got one other freshman coming, Isaiah Thorne. Isaiah's from San Antonio, Texas. Recruiting is funny. I got Isaiah because of where I bought my house. My house, well, not necessarily where I bought my house, but my house is right next door to Jeff Stromgren. Jeff Stromgren is the golf coach at Washburn. Jeff Stromgren's son-in-law happens to be a high school coach in San Antonio. Isaiah happened to play for Jeff's son. So, great recruiting by me. Jeff tells us about Isaiah. Isaiah had gone to Air Force to play there. He didn't love the military thing. He figured out after a year getting up at 5 a.m. every day, he didn't really fall in love with that as much as he would hope. So he was looking for a different opportunity. So we have Isaiah coming in. Isaiah is the all-time leading scorer at his high school, and they've had some pros come through there, and I think Isaiah is going to be good. He just tweaked his groin the other day, so he's been out a little bit, but I think Isaiah is going to be good. We have 3 transfers coming in, 2 Division I transfers and 1 Division II transfer. We have 1 Division I transfer coming from Portland State. His name is Devin Wilson. Devin went to a junior college for 2 years, was at Portland State last year. They were really, really good. They were 22 or 23 and something last year, so he didn't get to play as much as he wanted. He was looking for a new opportunity. Devin's actually from Brooklyn, New York. He's a funny kid, man. We were talking the other day about, matter of fact, the police chief came and talked to our guys yesterday, and so, which was great, and we were talking about traffic stops and how. And so I said, we were talking about it, and Devin was, and I said, Devin, you've never drove a car before. You're from New York, man. You just ride the subway there. And the guys thought that was funny that, Devin had never, big city kid, never driven a car. But Devin's going to be really good. He's a 6'3" guard, lefty, can shoot it, can score it. We only have him for 1 year, but I think he can impact our program in this year. And then we have a transfer from Charleston Southern, a 6'5" guard who was a freshman at Charleston Southern last year. Transferred to us. His name is Jamal David. He's from Maryland originally. He'll have 3 years with us. 6'5", long, skilled. I think he gives us a unique playmaking ability with a lot of size. At the MIAA, kid that's 6'5", that gives us an advantage. The last transfer we have, I can't say too much about this guy yet because we're still working out an eligibility issue. He is going to be eligible, okay? We're just working out an eligibility issue with him. I can't say his name because of NCAA rules, but he's 6'10", he's Brazilian, and he's going to be really good. I don't know if he's going to be Brady Skeen's good, but he's going to be a great fill-in for Brady. He's been great so far in what he's been out. We can't do a lot with him yet, but he's going to be really good, and once we get him cleared, we'll be able to talk more about him. Players coming back, and then I'll talk about our schedule, let you guys ask questions. Players coming back that I'm excited about, Javion Blake's a senior. Javion has scored over 1,000 points in his career at Washburn already. Javion will have a chance to finish in the top 3 all-time scoring at Washburn if he continues to track in the right direction. Javion's been great. He's been a great player at Washburn. He's had a really good offseason, put on some weight, gotten a little bit stronger, and he was a starter for us last year, so we'll have him back. He's kind of a combo guard, kind of play the 1, the 2, and the 3. Tyus Martin's back. Tyus was our most improved player last year. Tyus averaged 1 point a game before I got here, and last year he averaged 10 points a game. So he increased his scoring average by 9 points a game last year. Nobody's worked harder than Tyus since I've gotten here. It's shown on the court, and so Tyus started for us late in the year last year when one of our other guys got hurt. So Tyus will be back, and so those 2 guys will be in our backcourt. I feel really good about 2 seniors that have been through a lot of big games. David Salak is back. David's kind of been our 4-man. He's about 6'7", 6'8". He started for 3 years, or 2 years, and this will be his 3rd year starting. And Dave's kind of a versatile power forward that gives us an inside-out presence. A couple other guys that I'm excited about coming back. Tyler Guyman was our freshman backup point guard last year. anybody that watched us play last year, Tyler was really coming on. Hurt his ankle and missed about a month of the season, and then kind of took a little time coming back from that, and then played really well at the end of the year. But Tyler will be a sophomore for us, and will give us a really good point guard back there, really smart and heady player. And then I can mention a few other guys, but Will McKee played a lot as a freshman for us last year. Will was kind of a bouncy, athletic, power forward type that gives us a versatile kind of power. He can make shots and he can finish at the rim. So those guys are coming back. So we got a nice mix of newcomers and returners. Our schedule is going to be tough. Our first exhibition game is against a school called Kansas. I've never heard of them. I've heard they've got a decent program. I don't know if they have a good basketball coach over there or not. Never really heard of this guy, Bill Self, somebody, but that's our first game, and I'm good friends with Coach. I work for Coach, and obviously he's unbelievable. And I've been joking with Coach, like, seriously, your biggest team you've had in, like, the last 10 years, and it's got to be the first exhibition game for us? Like, I don't know. I said we might have to play a lot of zone and pray that they're not making outside shots, because I don't know how we're going to guard all those big guys that they've got. But we open up exhibition-wise at KU. A couple other games on our schedule that should be fun. We go down to Oklahoma, play Southern Nazarene right out of the gate. Southern Nazarene was, I believe, second in our region last year, and they have their whole team coming back. They'll be ranked in the top 10 when we play them early in the year. We're going on a trip to Las Vegas, playing 2 teams out there. It's funny how these things work out. So my assistant does most of our scheduling. Says, Coach, we're going to Vegas this year. I said, yeah, that'd be great. Good trip for the guys and for the families and all that. I said, who are we going to play, though? He goes, well, the guy said the competition won't be too bad. He'll get some teams, but we got to commit to this before we exactly know who we're going to play. I'm like, yeah. And so, sure enough, I find out we're playing West Texas A&M, who finished in the Final Four last year, and University of Indianapolis, who was a very good program. So we got 2 tough games out there, but that should be fun for our guys and a good experience. MIAA is going to be good as always. Northwest Missouri State won the national championship 2 years ago. Central Missouri won it about 5 years ago. So it's one of the best basketball conferences in the country. Great basketball, great coaches, just good players, and good environments to play in. So I'm excited about that. I'll open it up for questions now, so I don't take up any more of your time. If anybody has a question.
What's Brady Skeens doing now?
Paul just asked, what's Brady Skeens doing? Paul's a great question. So Brady graduated with his business degree in May, and Brady is now taking master's classes at Washburn. He thought about trying to play overseas, which I think he's going to do next year, but he wanted to get his master's done, and so he's taking master's classes right now. Great kid. Great. I mean, he's been a phenomenal representative of the university, really good student. And so we see Brady around now, but he's taking classes.
How's David Salak's health? I know he's had some real severe ankle injuries during his Washburn career, and
yeah.
Hopefully he's doing well.
So Don asked, how is David Salak doing? That's the young man that will be a senior that started before. Don, it's interesting. I was just looking at this yesterday at some stuff on our guys, and so Dave's freshman year, he had 25 blocks as a freshman, and he had 52 offensive rebounds. And then his sophomore year, he got hurt. He broke his foot and ankle in a really kind of a freak deal, and he had a red shirt that year, and it really, and my assistant and I were just talking about this yesterday, it took away a lot of his athleticism. He's still a good athlete, but he was a high-level athlete. But Dave's, knock on wood, his body looks great. He's in really good shape. He's putting a lot of time in the gym. I think Dave's ready to have a really good senior. He had a good year last year, Don, other than he didn't shoot the ball well. He struggled to make shots. He spent some time working on that, and I think he'll shoot it better this year. But Dave's one of our leaders, another phenomenal kid, phenomenal family. He played at Blue Valley Northwest, so he played with Clay Custer and Ben Richardson. Those were the 2 guards that were at Loyola Chicago that went to the Final Four this year. Dave was on their high school team, so he played on a really good high school team too. But Dave's gonna have a good year for us.
Do you have a special area, like in a dorm, where the players all live and they can eat together and that kind of thing?
Sure, that's a great question. So she asked, where do our players live? So our incoming freshmen all live in Lincoln Hall, right there on campus. I don't know if you guys have been on our campus. Lincoln Hall is phenomenal. They've done a phenomenal job with our campus. We have incredible facilities. And Lincoln Hall is a brand new dorm. It's 3 years, Paul, is it 3 years old?
I think
Going into year 3?
Yeah.
So two or 3 years, brand new. And so our freshmen all live there. They live together. Lincoln Hall has rooms, you can have rooms of, I think, 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, and our guys live in 3 bedrooms. So there's 2 guys in each bedroom. There's 3 bedrooms, there's 2 bathrooms, and a living room. So it's a lot different than we went to college. Like my dorm, I could touch, my first dorm, I touched 2, but I could touch both walls. And we didn't have our own bathroom, we were sharing the bathroom with everybody else down the hallway. So those guys all live there, and Lincoln's right across from our gym. It's a great setup for them. And the dining hall right there is connected so they can go eat and all that. The rest of our guys live in College Hill, just, north of campus, about a block north of campus, right past the burger stand there. And so the rest of our returners live in College Hill, which is a good setup for them. It's interesting. I'm actually contemplating what I want to do moving forward. That's kind of the setup how it's been when I got here, so that's kind of how we kept it. I want to look at maybe keeping our guys on campus for another year or 2. There's some really good options on campus. The thing I have to look at is how that affects my equivalency numbers and scholarship-wise. Because if we plug guys into the dorms are a little bit more expensive for us from an equivalency standpoint, so we just have to work all that out. But it's a good setup. Our guys all live together. They got the upperclassmen live right there off of campus, and then they come over for practice and classes.
How does Washburn compare on the basketball program scholarship-wise compared to the upper teams in the conference?
Same, yeah, we're on the same boat. Yeah, we get 10 full scholarships, so we're in a good situation. And I use those 10 scholarships over 12, 13, 14 guys, so nobody's on a full scholarship, but they're all in a really good situation when they get scholarship-wise. Some of our guys also get Pell Grant money, which is a really good situation for them. They get to keep that Pell Grant money on top of their scholarship, so that helps them pay for extra food or clothing or whatever they may need.
So just to follow up on that, you talked about 10 and then you have to split it. What is the maximum that's allowed by the conference?
Maximum number 10.
Yeah, so you're just
Yeah.
sharing. Okay.
Yep.
So interesting, and I know about the splitting, like, you get tuition, you get housing, you get books and housing, I understand that you can split those things, but you said no one is on 100% scholarship? You don't have one athlete that is 100%?
None of our guys are on 100%. We split that up. Yeah, we split it up. No, basically what we end up doing for the most part is we'll pay for 12 hours in the spring, 12 hours in the fall, and then we usually end up paying for 3 hours of summer school. So that gets them 27 credit hours a year, which gets them close. Gets them close to being able to graduate on time. In order to graduate on time, though, they got to take, at some point in time, an extra 3 somewhere in some of those semesters to get them to the number of hours they need.
So Washburn doesn't do it as full-time student X rate. It's per hour. It's a la carte all the way up. There's no group. Tuition, I think even still at KU, even though it's much higher than maybe when we went there, it was up to 18 hours. 12 to 18 hours was this much.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it that way. It's not a flat rate for full-time student. It is strictly per hour all the way up to 18.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question, but yeah, as far as if I'm following on it, yes, I think that's correct.
Okay. So you get X number of dollars that's equivalent to a full-time with full scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Well, part of that's the housing rate, tuition. The part I'm talking about is the tuition rate, what it costs per hour to go, to that number of hours.
But a full-time tuition is calculated at how many hours? 15?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you take it down to 12, that just means you have those hours to play with for other.
Sure. To spread a scholarship.
I got you.
Yep.
I got you. Okay. Now I'm in.
Yep.
Coach, talk a little bit about the influences and the mentors you've had as you've come up as a coach. You've had some great opportunities.
Yeah. So Allison asked what about the mentors I had. I've been lucky. So even for me, Allison, at a young age, I had great youth coaches, and I love people that sacrifice their time and not getting paid to coach our youth. I think there's a special thing about that, and I appreciate even the people that are coaching my kids now. So I had really good youth coaches. I played for an incredible high school coach in Phil Anderson, who was one of the best high school coaches in the state. And then I was able to play at Kansas for Roy Williams. When I went to KU, I was a preferred walk-on. So I was coming as a walk-on, and I was a preferred walk-on, and I ended up earning a scholarship, but Coach treated me just like, and one of the things I love about Coach Williams is I played with guys like Kirk Heinrich and Drew Gooden and Nick Collison and Aaron Miles and Wayne Simming, guys that played in the NBA, but he didn't treat me any different than those guys. And even though I was a walk-on, his expectation, his standards for me were the same, how he treated me the same, and how he interacted with me were the same. And I always remember that. And I think that's one of the things that makes Coach special and why he's won so many games, is his guys really love playing for him because they know he cares about them. But Coach Williams was a huge influence on me. And then I was lucky, I got to stay on and be with Coach Self then for 7 years. And if there's anybody I probably model my coaching philosophy behind, it's probably as much him as anybody. And just the thing about Coach is, again, initially when I was just there, I was just volunteering, but he always treated me, my family, the one thing about Coach is it doesn't matter if you're a janitor or the CEO, he's gonna treat you the same way. And he's really good about that. He's really good with how he treats people, and he takes time to speak and treat everybody the right way. And I think the basketball part of it, obviously I learned a lot, but I learned a lot from him. And then Coach Manning, I worked with Danny, Coach Manning at Kansas. I used to get a little bit annoyed though by Coach because we'd get introduced at certain things and his round of applause was always way So I'd always be like, hey, can you guys introduce me before Coach Manning? Because they'd be like, Danny Manning, and they'd be like, Rep Power. And so, but Coach Manning, so when I was at Kansas, Coach had just got done playing, Coach Manning had just got done playing in the NBA for 15 years. So I remember he was coming to Kansas, Coach Self said he's going to come be on staff. And I'd grown up in Kansas, so I thought, man, this is awesome with Danny Manning, yeah. But I was also kind of nervous, like I wonder what this guy's going to be like to work with, right? And this is Coach. So when he got there, we had a coach's locker room. We only had like 5 lockers, so I didn't have a locker. And so he had this locker, and it was literally about the size of this thing up to here. And so I was in there changing one day, he goes, what? And I'd have to bring my stuff. He goes, you don't have a locker? I said, no. He goes, we'll just share mine. And he goes, we'll just split it. And he goes, here, you can have this side. And so that was just his mindset. That's always how he was. He treated me like that. So I took the job at Baker. I was there for 2 years, and then Coach got the call. Danny got the call to be the coach at Tulsa, and he called me, and it was a no-brainer. It was hard to leave Baker, but it was a no-brainer to go with him. And so I just learned from Coach, he's made probably $40 million in his life, but he doesn't act like it, treats people the right way, he's humble, and he was really, really big on teaching our guys life skills beyond basketball, because he was the first one to say, listen, I played a long NBA career, but what am I going to, I'm 35 years old now, what am I going to do? And so all of those guys, I've been around, really lucky to be around really good coaches, but all those guys had influence on me. This is one more question. Well, I appreciate you guys having me out. I'm excited tonight. First Washburn home football game. Bring your umbrella or your poncho. Might sprinkle on us, but come out and support the football team. Coach Shirk and those guys do a great job, and that should be a fun environment tonight. Our schedule is on the internet now. Those of you that are season ticket holders will be getting information on that for the next couple of weeks. If you guys get a chance, truly, bring your family, bring your kids, your grandkids out to a game. It's a fun environment, and we'd really appreciate your support. We have great fans, and we'd appreciate your support if you can make it out to a game this year. Appreciate it.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. You as a coach, and we appreciate you as a leader in our community. We have a book. We'd like you to sign the book plate. We'll donate that to Ross Elementary's library. This book is a Lego book. It's fantastic. A Lego adventure in the real world. We also have a rotary 4-way test coin, and we'd encourage you, we believe that you embody that, and we'd encourage you to hold on to that. And remember that credo, which we all have agreed to live to. And when you meet the next person who you'd like to share that with, feel free to do that as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you again. We do have one last minute announcement today. We have an opportunity Monday to honor a very important person in our club and his retirement. After 32 years of service, Roger Ashelman will be retiring from the Kansas Army National Guard. And I would just ask every one of you to grab your glass and let's give Roger a toast for his service. That's right. That's the fun part of that is Monday, September 10th, 5 to 7 p.m. It's going to be remarks from the speakers at about 5:45 p.m. out at the Kansas National Guard Museum. So it's 125 Southeast Airport Drive, and that's the Forbes Field entrance south of Pauline. It's a casual, informal, civilian affair. So come as you are. Hot dogs, chips, cookies, pop, water, and beer provided. So please join us to celebrate Roger and his amazing service. Also, please consider signing up for the Water Festival on September 20th. And next week's meeting, Gabriel Rochelle from Forge will be our speaker, and that's going to be located over at the Oakland Net Center with the TRM Ministries, so Topeka Rescue Mission Ministries. That is at 1010 Northeast Michigan. The parking there is a little limited right around that former church, and so I'd encourage you to come just a little bit early, and you probably should plan to park on the street and to walk in just a little ways. But we'll have boxed meals and beverages and everything, and please register for that. Linda set out a registration for that this morning, so please take the time to give us your registration. With that, let's end with the 4.5-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the